Well, good morning, everybody. Kevin Crouch here with South Metro Weather, and we've got storms this morning, and they managed to beat my morning alarm clock here. I had one set for 6 a.m., thinking it might be closer to 6:30 or 7 before they got here. But they are moving southward through our area right now, about 35 miles per hour. Pretty decent speed here, not racing through. But they are on the move for sure. They are loud storms, and we do have this severe thunderstorm warning that is in place until 6:30. So that is going to be for about another 45 minutes here. And this storm bringing some strong winds. That's what has prompted this warning here. Let me kind of get that cursor out of the way here. And as these move southward, the strongest winds we were seeing here were in Johnson County. So let's go ahead and look at that and take a look and see where those strongest winds are at this point. Definitely moving through the Grandview area right now. So that's where we're going to have those winds of the neighborhood of 65 miles per hour. That's what the warning is indicating here. The winds are not as intense in Ellis County right now, but if we look at this historically, yeah, you can see the strongest winds move through the Joshua area, down through Cleburne, Alvarado, and now moving into the Grandview area towards Itasca, eventually moving down towards parts of Northern Hill, southern Ellis counties here, possibly western Navarro County as it continues on to the south. There's a lot of heavy rain in this storm as well. I'm not hearing many reports of flooding or anything of that sort, but we are definitely seeing these storms continue on to the south at a decent pace. So I'm not too concerned about flooding at this point. I can't rule out some localized flooding, some brief flooding in those places where they manage to have these storms around just long enough to dump a lot of heavy rain, and that is a possibility as well. But the main issue with these is definitely going to be the stronger winds. Currently, like I say, moving through southeastern Johnson County, continuing on towards Northern Hill, southern Ellis County there, and then going on from there. These storms are from that complex we were watching late last night that were moving through Kansas and then through Oklahoma. It was unclear whether those storms were going to make it here, and they definitely have. We are watching these storms. I'm going to adjust this camera ever so slightly. There we go. So I'm not quite as dominant in the frame, but this complex of storms moving through, like I said, a little earlier than I expected. The good news is this should help to, I think, mitigate the chance of storms this afternoon. If we're able to get this stuff through, probably not any energy left over by that point, so it looks like the rest of the day should be dry for us here. But this morning, yes, it is a bit disruptive, and I've seen a few comments where folks are saying that this is the first day of school, so I know that that's probably a little inconvenient, but hopefully here, I mean, it's just about getting to the 6 o'clock hour here, so hopefully we can get this stuff through here before we get too far into that morning commute, because really at the moment it doesn't really look like we are seeing anything that's going to linger into the 7 to 8 o'clock time period, at least for parts of our area, the northern half of our area. Let's take a look here at the cyclone port camera over in Glen Heights. I'm curious to see what we can see, whether that's looking north or south here. Let's get that pulled up. Well, can't see much. You got a nice big raindrop here that's collecting some light, so it's hard to see much. But you can see the winds blowing excuse me, blowing those flags there, and of course all of the lightning involved with this too. So, Kimberly, you said you heard sirens, but there isn't anything in our group about something being hit. So, not sure what that could be referring to there. And it's funny, I received my weather call this morning, which is the call from the weather call service letting me know that there's a severe thunderstorm warning. I'm terrible about leaving my phone on vibrate overnight. I didn't leave the ringer on, so it didn't wake me up. It woke my wife up, but it didn't wake me up. But I did get that weather call earlier this morning. And, weather call is a very, very nice, nifty tool here. And if you are curious about what that sounds like, I believe I still have that recorded. Maybe. I think the phone doesn't want to cooperate this morning. This just does not want to play along, does it? This phone is not in a good mood this morning, I don't think. Let's see if we can get this working. All right, well, I'm not going to waste time on that. The phone is not wanting to play that, but that weather call, you get the phone call, you get the text message. It's a call from my voice telling you, hey, there is a severe thunderstorm warning in place. So if you're in Ellis, Northern Hill, or most of Johnson County, then you got that call. If you're interested in signing up for that, let me go ahead and put that information in here so that you can get signed up for weather call, because it's mornings like this that weather call can be very, very useful, because we weren't even sure if we were going to get storms, really weren't sure if they were going to be severe or not, and for sure we have a severe thunderstorm warning that was issued. So it's mornings like this that weather call can keep you ahead of the storm, even when the forecast isn't that certain. So it's always a good idea to have multiple weather sources. Weather call is the quickest one. It's always the first one to hit my phone. I have, I think, 3 different services signed up that will warn me about severe thunderstorms, and weather call always gets there first. So it's a great, great service to have. If you're just joining in, we do have this line of thunderstorms, this cluster of thunderstorms passing through, and we do have this severe thunderstorm warning in place until 6:30 a.m., so about another 35 minutes from now. And this storm, the strongest winds just moved through Grandview, and I see, LaDonna, I see you saying that that you just got those power outages there in the Grandview area. Lonnie Ballard, you received the text message but not a weather call. Lonnie, go ahead and check your settings there. Make sure your settings are up to date, and then I would, you can get logged in and check everything, and then I would make sure you have all of those settings correct, all of those phone alerts on. Sometimes something funky can go on with those settings. If the settings are fine, shoot me an email or a message. I'll be happy to help you from there. Melly, you're asking about hail. I've not seen any hail today. From what I have seen this morning, doesn't look like hail is much of a concern here. I haven't seen reports, nor does it seem that hail is very likely going on in these storms, just based on what I've looked at. So I'm not terribly concerned about hail for our area here, but I can't rule it out in these storms. It is a severe thunderstorm, which means you do have quite a bit of lift. You could get some hail out of this storm as it passes through. Kaylee, how much rain is expected? I would think that we've got an inch already here at the studio. So, and we're about to get out of the heavier rain. So it could be an inch and a half of rain, depending on where you are in this area. So just be prepared for that. You could receive about an inch or so of rain this morning from this complex that's moving through. I know there's a question about storms later today, and I'm not thinking models, I was just checking one, models say that there could be some more showers and thunderstorms later this morning. I'm a little skeptical of that. This is going to work over the atmosphere pretty well. So I can't rule out another round of storms this morning. I think by this afternoon, all of this has moved out of here. So we'll continue to monitor that, but I think the best chance is probably that we're going to get these through and we might have a chance of another shower or thunderstorm or two. But I'm thinking, because if we broaden this out here, let's kind of take a broader look. So there are some showers and storms kind of trailing behind this here, and we could see these move in later this morning. I'll be watching those, but for the most part, I think this stuff is out of here by this afternoon. So I'm not expecting much after the noon hour. So I'll watch these storms back farther to the northwest, but the main complex here are going to be well out of our area by the time we get into the afternoon hours. Not expecting much. I was looking to see if we were going to get an outflow boundary out of this or any lingering energy as we got into the afternoon, but this is all moving through well ahead of schedule, at least what I was expecting. And so not expecting anything left over from this in the afternoon to spark any additional storms. So I'm trying to follow questions here, lots of comments coming in. Let me go back, because I think I missed a comment here. And Tamara Berg, you're asking about the Whitney Hillsborough area. Storms are definitely moving southward into that area, so you're definitely going to get those. And you're saying you're driving at 7. It's about an hour away, so I'm pretty confident these storms will be at least mostly through that area by that point. So I think your 7 o'clock drive, don't think that's going to be too much of an issue this morning. And seeing several of you have lost power, mostly due to those strong winds here. Probably a few lightning strikes causing some issues as well. You can see there's plenty of lightning throughout this line. The strongest winds have been, there's that alarm clock. See, the storms were supposed to wait at least a little while. Give me a chance to get camera pretty, right? The strongest winds have been moving through parts of Johnson and now Hill counties here. We'll take another look at that velocity, and there's that new severe thunderstorm warning going through, continuing the path of where we were just talking about. That's where those strongest winds are. So you can see that new severe thunderstorm warning continues on through most of Hill County here, northern McLennan County, and northern Limestone County there, just the kind of western sliver there of Navarro County. So that's a new severe thunderstorm warning that runs until 7 a.m. here. So this storm will continue on southward, and just had someone asking about your 7 o'clock drive in Hillsborough, Whitney area. I think everything will be south of there by that point. So I think you're going to be okay with that. So this will continue moving southeast. This has that storm. Let's see if they're clocking that any quicker here. Okay, that's going to be moving southeast at 45 miles per hour, so it is picking up pace here. The original warning was 35 miles per hour, now 45 miles per hour per the National Weather Service. So this storm moving fairly quickly as those winds are picking up pace. And I'll also note there, I'll say though, that the warning is for 60 mile per hour winds, whereas the previous warning was noting 65 miles per hour. So it looks like the storm is not as intense as it was. Let's take a look at velocity here. And the stronger winds, you can see them there in northeastern northeastern Hill County, southeastern Johnson County, and then western Ellis County. Those little pockets of yellow is what you're looking at. Those strongest storms moving southward, southeastward here. And the winds don't look as intense as they did in Johnson County. So the storm may be calming down ever so slightly. And there goes a little bit of a, there it is. There's a little bit of a power issue. So I am going to have to wait for that monitor to come back. So I'll go back and look over here. And there we go. Cool. Always fun when we have these little issues. And Jennifer Bryant, welcome back to Waxahachie ISD staff. Yeah, so I'm sure the staff are having to go in today. Students are back in a couple of days. And I'll see some of those staff, some of those Waxahachie ISD staff and teachers at their convocation. I'll be working with Hope Health to bring some information to them to that. Let's see, going back through the comments here, there's reports of an issue on I-45 here, a traffic issue, possibly an accident. So be careful as you're traveling out this morning. These storms always cause some issues on the road, so you want to give yourself some extra time, not only for some areas that may have some flooding. We've received about an inch, just over an inch of rain here at the studio. So there's a lot of heavy rain coming out of these storms for sure. And then, unfortunately, it's almost inevitable sometimes that you're going to have strong winds, and heavy rain that cause accidents of folks that struggle with those things. So just kind of keep that in mind as we go forward here. And new little showers here in Navarro County too, so popping up just ahead of that main line. But the strongest winds, as we mentioned, these are straight line winds. These are not rotating winds. Straight line winds moving through parts of western Ellis County, northern Hill County right now. So really the strongest winds are going to be right there near that Itasca area, continuing on to the southeast at about 45 miles per hour. Plenty of lightning in these storms as well. Let's see, going back through your comments here, hearing reports of accidents in Ferris and one in the Garrett Ennis area. So sounds like more than one accident on the Interstate 45 area. I would say 35 east and west. Be careful there too. So if you're getting out and driving to school or work this morning, give yourself a little extra time. There's bound to be some issues out there as you are getting out and about. And this storm, fortunately, like I say, is moving fairly quickly. So this warning goes until 7 o'clock. So that will put these storms much farther south in the next hour here. They're moving at 45 miles per hour. So they're moving at a pretty decent clip. So I think most of our area will see these storms having moved out by the time we get to that 7-8 o'clock hour, at least south of our core counties here. And then that warning does go down into McLennan County, Limestone County. We will see those storms moving into the Fairfield, Groesbeck, Waco area in the next hour or so. Araceli, we're not looking at a tornado risk this morning. I can't rule it out, but we're not really looking at rotating winds this morning. This is all straight line winds, so that's going to be the threat as these storms continue to move on to the southeast. As far as storms later today, we do have to look at these storms farther to the north. Let me get that out of the way of that banner. So just south of Wichita Falls, there is a severe thunderstorm warning here. There's a few kind of training storms and moving southeastward as well. So we'll have to watch those to see if those are going to impact our area later this morning. But I think by the time we get to the afternoon, I think we're done. I think we're going to be watching these things clear out and calm down a little more as we get through that time. Looks like we have a couple of weather call signups here. I love that. So if you are in this area, if you're anywhere in the yellow and you're signed up for weather call, you would have gotten a call from my voice this morning letting you know, hey, there is a severe thunderstorm warning in place. And now, new severe thunderstorm warning for most of Navarro County, just the northern part of Freestone County there. So we are getting these new warnings in place for this complex, and these are primarily for those winds. Yeah, 60 mile per hour winds in the warning here. So this is what we're looking at for the rest of our area. So 60 mile per hour winds are the concern, neighborhood of 60 mile per hour winds for both of these warnings. Both of these warnings going until 7 a.m. So they're starting to move out of the initial warning here, moving into the new warnings until 7 a.m. And someone asking, what does the rest of the week look like? I don't see rain in the forecast for the rest of the week. Just looks seasonably warm and dry. So not seeing storms in the rest of the forecast there. Just seeing those for this particular area for this morning as we see these new warnings have come out for the rest of our area and areas just northern McLennan, Freestone, and Limestone counties. Ryan Taylor, that is correct. Not seeing tornadoes this morning. We're looking at straight line winds. That's the concern. Straight line winds of roughly 60 or so miles per hour. Let's get another look at these winds here, kind of see where those strongest winds are. You can see them again in Hill County. This is the area of the storm we've been watching, but you can see some winds just west of Italy there. So we put this into motion. We can see these stronger winds starting to kind of broaden out a little bit here. So we continue to watch this, and again, roughly 60 miles per hour. That's pretty much baseline for a severe thunderstorm warning. I would say there might be pockets of winds approaching 65 miles per hour. That was what that first warning indicated, but we haven't seen anything incredibly intense. We haven't seen anything in the 70 to 80 mile per hour wind range this morning. Paula Styskull asking, aren't you supposed to not shower in thunder and lightning? That's one of those things that my understanding is that there's not been a whole lot of evidence that is impactful either way, that the likelihood of getting struck by lightning in the shower is any more or less likely than anywhere else in your home. So I don't think there's anything to really back that up. Megan, not looking at any hail this morning. Haven't really seen reports of hail and haven't seen that indicated by radar. Adrienne, you haven't received a call or a text. The thunder woke you up. So, Adrienne, are you in the box? Because you have to be in one of those polygons to get that warning, to get that weather call warning. But if you are, then you want to make sure you check your settings. Just make sure those settings, when you log into your weather call account, make sure all the settings are correct. If that's the case, if your weather call, and I see a few comments here, you want to go in and check check your settings there. If your settings are all correct to receive those calls and texts and everything looks right, send us a message or an email. We'll be happy to work with you to make sure things are going to work correctly for you in the future. Melissa Allred, Mythbusters confirmed that no shower during lightning. I guess I missed that episode. I haven't seen all of the Mythbusters episodes, but I understand that there's water present in those kinds of things, but I haven't. I don't know. I haven't seen overwhelming evidence. I haven't seen overwhelming messaging on that from weather sources. So something I'll have to look into. Maybe we'll make a video about that here in the next couple of weeks here. Nicole, you said you didn't get a call and you realized your settings were for 70 plus mile per hour winds, so then you got it fixed. So that is the case. So it sounds like Nicole's settings were set to where she didn't get warnings, or she didn't get a call for every severe thunderstorm warning. It was only those escalated severe thunderstorm warnings. So 70 plus mile per hour winds. So that's when you get your destructive and considerable damage tags. So these are Garden Variety. It was early in the morning, folks. Garden Variety severe thunderstorm warnings here. So roughly 60 miles per hour. So these are not the escalated severe thunderstorm warnings they have that they are using now. So if you have your settings in weather call set to only get those escalated severe thunderstorm warnings, you would not get these calls. So that might be the kind of the difference here in terms of what you're looking at if you're not getting those calls. Fancy got the call, but it did not answer because it didn't pop up as weather call as it has in the past. Unsure there because it would usually be, it would always be the same phone number. So I know for mine it popped up as that same phone number. So if you have that number saved, it should pop up as the same thing every time. It's always going to be that same phone number for you. So make sure that you've saved that phone number as weather call in your phone. Judy, heard that you shouldn't be on your cell phone while it's storming or charging your phone while it's storming. Well, what I'll say is charging it might be an issue because you may get a power surge or something that may cause an issue with your phone there. But your cell phone, I mean, especially, it's not connected to anything in the wall if you're just carrying it around. So that I don't see, I think that there's just a prevailing idea that anything with any kind of electricity at all is going to cause you to get struck by lightning. Especially if you're in your home. I mean, your roof is higher than you are. There are things that are taller than you are. So I don't see a cell phone, if you're carrying it around, being a lightning rod. So there's going to be a lot of things that go around, a lot of things that are said and theorized about, but I don't think that carrying around your cell phone is going to make you an especially unique lightning target. I can understand being plugged in. There could be a power surge that could cause an issue there. Make sure that if you have your phone plugged in, if you can, use a surge protector there just for that use. But I don't think that's going to cause too great an issue. And as we've been saying this morning, we are not looking at a tornado threat this morning. This is going to be a straight line wind threat. And when we talk about the straight line winds, looks like we're getting kind of a concentration of the stronger winds just south of Italy there. So could be approaching 65 or so mile per hour winds there towards Italy, towards Milford in southern Ellis County. So it looks like that's where the strongest winds are right now. You can see that indicated by the kind of the darker yellow here. You see that area. So this is where we have the stronger winds this morning. Again, right near the Milford area, headed towards Mertens. So that's closer to 65, possibly getting closer to 70 miles per hour. Just kind of looking at some comments here. Looks like there's a lot of kind of theories back and forth about using different things during lightning. So if you're, the main thing, if there's lightning going on, be indoors. That's the primary issue there. If you're indoors, that helps to largely mitigate your threat of being struck by lightning, that kind of thing. So more so than what you use in the home, just make sure you're inside. That's the primary risk, or at least the primary concern when lightning is going on, is that you are inside. Aside from that, I mean, you can talk about using certain things or not using things, but the primary need is for you to be indoors. These storms continue to move through parts of our area here, and we're back to, of course, to the reflectivity. The strongest part of the storm, northern Hill County, southern Ellis County right now. So from about Hillsborough on to Italy, and we were just looking at the strongest winds just south of Italy in the Milford area. So that's where we have the stronger winds indicated right now. That's where we're seeing those winds that could be approaching 65 to possibly up to 70 miles per hour here, and we may see an escalation of a new severe thunderstorm warning here if those winds continue to intensify. Both of these severe thunderstorm warnings, these new warnings here that cover most of Hill and Navarro counties, go until 7 a.m. So that's going to be for about another 45 minutes here. This warning only has about 15 more minutes. It is moving out of that area now, at least the strongest storms are. We're about to just under 1.25 inches here of rain at the studio. So it's a pretty decent rain producer as well. Haven't heard any flooding issues because the storms are moving fairly quickly, but we do have the storms as they continue to move southward. And Sonia, I'm sorry, just one moment here. Okay. All right. So let me get it caught up on some comments here. Sonia, I doubt you're hearing the sirens, because when they use the sirens for a severe thunderstorm warning, that's usually going to be those escalated warnings. So that's going to be your 70, 80, 90 mile per hour winds, that you can sometimes see in these storms. But we don't have any of those escalated severe warnings here. So I don't think that we're hearing outdoor warning sirens at this point. Not thinking we're probably hearing those. And yeah, getting the reports of the strong winds in Carl's Corner as well. So that's going to be where we just pointed out. So from Italy, Milford, Carl Corner, moving through fairly quickly here. And these storms, like I say, are moving around 40 to 45 miles per hour. So they're moving fairly quickly. So once the storms are there, they're going to move through pretty quickly. At least the most intense part of it will. Jen, you're asking how long will this last? Well, I don't know where you are, so it's hard to say how long it's going to last in your area because different parts of the area are going to get this for different periods of time. Whitney, I mean, you can see the storms moving in. Doesn't look like the strongest winds are there, but it'll continue to move southward, southeastward at about 40 to 45 miles per hour. That goes for the whole area here. So if you're on the backside of this storm complex, then things are going to be calming down for you fairly quickly. If you're on the front end, if you haven't quite gotten these storms yet, just be ready for strong winds and very heavy rain, lightning, and thunder coming through as this storm progresses on to the southeast. I'll just kind of move this and give a bit better view of where these storms are. So there's plenty of lightning and thunder here too. So very noisy storms. You don't want to be outside looking at it, right? That's not going to be the wisest decision here. And as we get these storms out of here this morning, I am watching some more storms off to the northwest that may move in the later morning hours. I'm not too confident they'll do a whole lot in our particular area because these storms are kind of working over the atmosphere fairly efficiently here. And so as they continue on to the southeast, that will work over the atmosphere, and the storms that are farther to the northwest, we will have to keep an eye on these. Man, they really like to hide behind that banner. These storms here, we will have to continue to watch these later this morning. I'm not expecting a whole lot in our area, but I will continue to watch those. They may stay west of us as they move south eastward, but I think by the time we get to the afternoon hours, I think we're probably going to be done with all of this activity. Okay, how to get a drink of water there? Haven't had any anything to drink this morning, so thank you to my wife Terry for bringing that in. Just reading some comments here, lots of comments running through. And Christy, yeah, so unfortunately we are looking at, I know that there's a lot of teachers that are getting back to work today. And the good news is that once these are out of here, I'm skeptical of any other showers and storms today. Like I said, we'll watch those storms off to the northwest to see if those will impact our area. But I think for the most part, I think we are going to be done after this complex moves through this morning. I'm not really expecting any storms this afternoon. I don't think there's going to be any of this energy left in our area by that point. But I'll keep watching just in case for, of course, the rest of the afternoon. And then there's really no rain in the forecast for the rest of the week going forward here. So I think we'll be in good shape. So you want to make sure, as I mentioned, that you're signed up for weather call here. So we've had severe thunderstorm warnings come in early in the morning. These, I mean, they beat my alarm clock here. So they moved into my area about 5:30 or so, and we already had severe thunderstorm warnings in place. My wife woke me up, said, "Hey, weather call woke me up. We need to rock and roll," and they moved in about 5:30. My alarm clock was set for 6. I was supposed to get at least a little bit of sleep this morning, but these storms do not really like me to sleep in much, so, you know, they keep me on my toes. And yeah, so hearing a lot of reports of the very loud thunder out there, and there is definitely some loud thunder, lots of storms coming through. Getting reports of multiple reports of how much lightning and thunder is out there, and there's definitely plenty of it. And Brittany, you're asking, when should these move out of the Ennis-Corsicana area? The heaviest of this, I think, will be out of our area by 7 o'clock. These warnings go until 7, so that tells you that you can expect these storms to be closer to the southern part of that warning, kind of the far end of it, around 7 o'clock. So that's what we're watching here, if not earlier than that. This warning goes until 6:30, and we're already seeing the heaviest part of the storm moving out of that warning. So around by 7 o'clock, I think it'll clear most of our core counties here. So moving out of southern Navarro and Hill counties, I think, by 7 o'clock. Got a question about the San Antonio area for the rest of the week. I'm really not sure. This is the area that I cover, so I have not really been watching San Antonio's forecast. So unfortunately, I'm not a whole lot of help there in terms of that San Antonio forecast for the rest of the week. My guess would be probably just going to be dry and hot, but again, I can't be sure. I haven't really looked at that area's forecast recently. And Martha, thank you so much for your Cash App donation. Greatly appreciated there. Really, really appreciate anyone who supports this brand. If it wasn't for you guys tuning in, we wouldn't get the kind of support that we get. We have sponsors that support us, and I've heard a few people that are generally unhappy that they see so many sponsors, but the folks that sponsor this brand are the ones that allow me to make this a full-time job, which allows me to broadcast when there's severe weather instead of competing with a full-time job. So that's how this thing works, and keeps it free for you. You don't have to pay to see this, and I always want that to be the case. So I work with other area businesses to advertise them, and we promote each other, and it works out great. I love the sponsors that we have on the beginning there. So if you want to see who sponsors us, who supports this brand, go to the Facebook page. You can see on the top banner there who those are, and then of course your weekend outlook sponsored by KTX3PL as well. Good friend of mine, Daryl over there. Jen Watts, you're saying Maybank log cabin area, how long, how bad? So in Navarro County, this is going to continue to move southward. And let me see here. I think I'm getting wires crossed because Maybank. Okay. Yeah, so I was thinking, I'm saying Maybank. So in the Maybank area, we're talking Henderson County here. I was trying to go into Navarro County. I think I was getting two places mixed up here. But in Henderson County, just moved in there. And then I think, again, by 7:30 or so, probably clearing out of the Maybank area. So heavy rain there, lots of lightning and thunder. But this will continue to move on southeastward as well with drier air behind it. So it won't last all morning there in Maybank, but it will continue on for at least another half hour to an hour or so. Jordan, you're asking about the wind speed. So the strongest winds, it really depends on where you are. So if you want to know about a specific area, make sure that you're saying, hey, this town or that town where I'm located. South of Milford here's the strongest winds. So the strongest winds are moving right towards the Hubbard-Dawson area, right here where Ellis, Navarro, and Hill counties come together. So you can see that yellow. Those are the strongest winds there. So that continues to move towards the Hubbard-Dawson area here fairly quickly, and we'll put this into motion. Yeah, very clear where those strongest winds are concentrated. So it could be between 65 to 70 miles per hour. Got a couple of people asking about Whitney, and Whitney is not really seeing a whole lot of strong winds here. I would say winds of 30 to 40 miles per hour, so not near as intense as what we're seeing on really right at the Navarro-Hill County line here. So that's where the strongest winds are, and you can see that yellow progressing, and that's kind of getting a little more concentrated. The National Weather Service may have to escalate that severe thunderstorm warning as it continues through parts of Southern Hill and southwestern Navarro counties and on towards Limestone County there. So they may have to make that call and decide whether to escalate that warning if these winds continue to intensify. But that's where the strongest winds are. You can see kind of that darker yellow there. That's where we have those stronger winds headed right towards Hubbard. And then so Zach, you're saying there's a house fire off of it looks like in Waxahachie. It looks like near my area off of North Grove Boulevard. Excuse me. So we do unfortunately have some issues out there. We've heard about some traffic issues. We've heard about power outages and those kinds of things. So these storms, they may not be doing a whole lot of direct damage, but they're definitely causing a lot of issues here on the roads. Lots of lightning out there, so I wouldn't be surprised if there's some lightning strikes causing some problems as well. And Maria, you're asking about Ferris, and Ferris, things are done there. Things are clearing out, so everything is relaxing a little bit. Thank you, Holden, for your Cash App donation. Greatly appreciated there. So you can see where the heaviest part of this storm is, moving through Navarro County. The strongest winds right now, right at the line between Navarro and Hill counties here, just south of Milford and Carl's Corner there. So that's where we have the strongest winds, continuing on to the southeast at about 40 to 45 miles per hour. And hearing a question about a hook over Corsicana, what you have to understand here is you may see a hook shape. What makes the difference is whether it's rotating or not. I have not seen any rotating winds here. So just because the radar happens to have a little hook shape there, it's not a rotating hook echo, so it's not a tornado threat for that area. And asking about frost. Frost will be calming down here in the next several minutes here. Heavy rain there, lightning and thunder, of course, but that will be clearing out, calming down here over the next 15 to 20 minutes or so as this all moves southeastward. And again, it's moving southeastward at about 30 to 40 miles per hour here. So moving at a pretty good clip. The strongest part of this line, again, right here in southern Hill County, southwestern Navarro County here. That's where the strongest part of the storm is. That's where you're going to be getting the strongest winds. And it does look like that's part of the storm is picking up intensity. So if we look at this, so you can definitely still see we're looking at plenty of strong winds right there moving into the Hubbard and Dawson area. So if you're in those areas, batten down the hatches and be prepared for those stronger winds that are moving through. I would say these are going to be 65 to possibly 70 mile per hour winds here. Now, the other thing to keep in mind here too is we are looking fairly high up in the clouds here. So we are seeing those stronger winds. Those may not necessarily be that intense at the surface. Sometimes you're going to get stronger winds, but they deteriorate a little bit as they mix towards the ground. So just keep that in mind too, that even though we're seeing those darker winds, and I kind of have to remind myself of that too, we're looking at those darker colors, but you may not necessarily be seeing the strongest of that in that area. But it is definitely moving southeastward at a rate of about 40 miles per hour, moving right towards Hubbard and Dawson, and then towards Coolidge, and later Mejia from there. But these are straight line winds. These are not tornadic winds. These are not rotating. We are, though, looking at the winds that are enough to cause some problems. So that's why you want to have weather call. That's why you want to be prepared with those, with any mechanism for warnings that you have. Weather call's always been the quickest for me. I've compared it to several different warning apps and services and things, and weather call is always the quickest to respond there. And you may be able to hear the kiddos in the background. They're not happy that my attention is elsewhere this morning, but the job is what it is. Yeah, plenty of thunder in the frost area there. I know that this is. I know that the lightning and the thunder, it's enough to wake you up and throw you into a frenzy here. But the good news is we haven't really heard a whole lot of reports of damage this morning. Not seeing anything catastrophic out there. Not seeing reports of that at least. But like I say, the strongest winds appear to be right there between Dawson and Hubbard. So that area, that's where the strongest winds are going to be, and that's where you want to make sure you're indoors and make sure you are in a safer area away from these storms. I know there's a temptation here in the South, especially among the men, it seems, to be out on your porch watching these storms. but you want to make sure that you're indoors for this storm, not only because the winds can blow around some of that debris, but because you have that lightning and thunder as well. And that lightning can find you. I mean, it's one of those things, people will tell me all the time, well, it's so fun to watch the lightning. The problem is the lightning itself decides where it goes. It's just not, it's completely random. So it's not always going to be where you're watching it. Sometimes it's going to be a little bit too close to home. So you have to consider that. So, another question of how long do you think it's going to take to clear through today? Well, I mean, again, that depends on your location. Because, I mean, it depends on where you are in relation to these storms, because Burleson, Midlothian, Red Oak, those northern parts of our area have already cleared out. Now, as far as storms later today, I'm watching some storms off to the northwest to see what that's going to look like later this morning. But the strongest storms that we have with this complex moving at a pretty good clip. These will be out of the southern parts of our area by 7, 8 o'clock. So not expecting anything after that point from this complex of storms. And really, I think by the afternoon, I think we're pretty well done. So again, if you're in northern half of Johnson, Ellis counties, things are already clearing out for you. Waxahachie, things are calming down, Cleburne as well. And these storms continuing to move through. So if you're in Ellis and Johnson counties, I mean, Johnson County's mostly clear here. Southern Ellis County wrapping up very soon. Hill and Navarro County still dealing with these storms, but continuing to move on at a pretty good clip. So I would say that our southern counties, Hill and Navarro counties, probably done with these by the time we get to 7:30, 8 o'clock this morning. So they're really not hanging around that long. I don't expect these to be much more of a deal throughout the rest of your day. However, if you're in southern Hill County, southern Navarro County, you still have these strong storms, these strong winds moving through your area. And I would say we have stronger winds taking effect now west of Corsicana there. So we're seeing those stronger winds starting to kind of increase there. Also, really east of Corsicana now towards the Kearns area. So stronger winds are taking hold here, and it looks like the kind of the eastern half of this line is intensifying as well. You can see that yellow there as that's picking up pace. That's west of Corsicana there. So strong winds definitely a feature in these storms. So as these continue to move southeastward into far southern Navarro County, far southern Hill County, northern parts of Limestone and Freestone counties there, those are going to be the areas to see those stronger winds. These storms not really hanging around much, but we got just under 1.25 inches here at the studio before this started clearing out. So we may get that extra a little bit. We may get to about 1.25 inches, but that's how much rain we got from this. You may see closer to 1.5 inches in some of these areas with the heavier rain. But the strongest winds are the main feature here. Moving into, again, you can see it, southeastern Hill County, southwestern, or really all of western Navarro County at this point. That's where those strongest winds are, 60 to 70 miles per hour. And again, the National Weather Service has not issued an escalated severe thunderstorm warning here, so that's why we're not seeing those indications, at least officially, of those 70 plus mile per hour winds. When you get to 70 and 80, that's when you have those escalated warnings where you have the considerable and destructive damage tags. We have not seen that this morning, but we could see that later on if these winds continue to intensify here. We've just seen they kind of just cycle. They intensify, then they weaken, then they intensify, and they weaken. Fairly common sometimes for those summer storms, but really not looking at anything beyond that. And of course the question comes in, again, we're not really looking at a tornado threat this morning. That's not really part of our calculus here. We're primarily looking at straight line winds from these storms. Now we can't rule out a tornado from those straight line winds. Occasionally you have those little spin ups. But other than that, really not looking at that being a concern here. So we're not really worried about tornadic situations here. We're not under a tornado watch or anything like that. Not really too concerned about that here. Mostly that concern is going to be those straight line winds. Plenty of lightning and thunder here too. Lightning and thunder can cause some issues, but Ellis and Johnson counties, you've been released from any of those warnings here. all of that is calming down. So it's just parts of Hill and Navarro counties that have the severe aspects of this storm here. So that's what we're looking at now. So this storm, again, the heaviest part of this, western Navarro County, southeastern Hill County. That's where the strongest part of this storm is at this point. But it is moving at a decent enough clip. It's moving fairly quickly. So that's the good news here. It'll move in quickly, which means it will clear out quickly. Ellis County here for the most part, there's some rain hanging out there, some lightning and rumbles and thunder, but really most of this at this point is in Hill and Navarro counties at this time, but continues to keep the momentum going. So it won't be around too much longer. As we said, by about 7 o'clock here, I expect the heaviest of this to all be moving into Limestone and Freestone counties here. And really, I mean, once you're out of the heaviest part of this storm, things start to calm down fairly quickly. We've been talking about the Hubbard area. You can see this little bow shape here. That's an indication of the bow echo as it continues to push on towards Limestone County. So that's one of those little indications you can look for. When you see that bow shape, when you see that kind of smoothing out and bowing forward, that's where you see those stronger winds. So just more indication here that we're getting kind of these little areas of concentration of these stronger winds. You can see another one here just to the west of, the east of Hubbard, southwest of Corsicana. So these two little bow echoes here, I mean, just nice little areas of focused strong winds, so just near Dawson and Hubbard, moving towards Coolidge and Wortham. So that's going to be where we see those stronger winds. Again, you can see those little bow echoes as those winds are surging forward. So keep that in mind. If you are in Coolidge, Wortham, Mexia, you do have fairly strong winds. These are straight line winds. These are not tornadoes, but they are straight line winds moving through. So those winds could very well be approaching 70 miles per hour in those particular areas. We've been watching these warnings. The initial warning for Johnson and Ellis counties farther north was for 65 miles per hour. Those were downgraded to 60 miles per hour, but now we're seeing just those two areas of concentrated winds. We'll take another look at that. And you can see not as organized. In fact, it's all kind of coming together here. But again, you can see these little areas of darker yellow. Those are going to be your stronger winds. As I mentioned, we're looking higher up in the cloud, higher up in the storm. And so you're kind of dealing with those winds that are, they're stronger, higher up in the cloud. So those winds may deteriorate a little bit as they mix towards the ground. That's the good news there, but still have to be very, very careful of those stronger winds in parts of southeastern Hill County, southwestern Navarro County, and continuing on. Again, these are moving fairly quickly, 40 to 45 miles per hour in terms of how quickly these things are going. But these stronger winds, again, you can see all that yellow. That's where your stronger winds are, continuing to move on to the south. So moving into Hubbard, it seems like they've been moving into Hubbard for a long time, but it is arriving in that area and will continue to progress through the rest of the morning. And moving into Mount Calm here, moving through Hubbard and Dawson, and then continuing on into parts of Limestone, Freestone County. You have McLennan County there just north of Waco as well. So that area next in line for the strongest part of the storm, Hillsborough, Corsicana, things will start to calm down here in the next several minutes for you. And I'm going to take just a quick break here. We've been going for just about an hour, so we will be right back in just a couple of moments with continuing coverage of severe storms moving through parts of north central Texas early this morning.
smile upon your face, and I see something shimmering in your eyes. And they say if you want a glimpse the future, you need space. And you said you'll put down your morning guns. Would you follow me to wonders? Take my hand and walk beside me in a world of thunder. Fear is an imposter. When you look at me this way, I find it hard to not give in. So the days became weeks, it felt just like the night before. You were slowly fading in my mind. When you left I was so completely gone, but now I'm sure you were some of the best of things to find.
We are back with continuing coverage. I just needed to take a quick breather there, get a little bit of water, get a little bit of just a little bit of a snack in my belly there for just a moment. It's an early morning and realized I hadn't eaten breakfast. We've been going for about an hour here on the air, so just needed to take a quick get a quick breather here. The strongest part of this now moving into far northern parts of Limestone County, heading towards Freestone County as well. Severe thunderstorm warnings continue for about another 15 minutes, including Hill and Navarro counties. But we are seeing the heaviest part of this storm continuing to move southward, and Corsicana and Hillsborough will be calming down very soon and then progressing southward from there. We'll kind of broaden this out a little bit, kind of give you an area-wide perspective. And this is the complex that we've been watching. This was the complex we talked about last night, moving through Kansas and Oklahoma. Weren't too sure if it was going to make it here, but indeed it definitely did. So I had my alarm clock set for 6. These things woke me up about 5:30. Well, my wife woke me up about 5:30, saying that she got the weather call and that I needed to jump up and report on these things. So I got the initial post out, then had to jump through the shower, those kind of things, and then get on the air. But you can see Red Oak, Cleburne, Waxahachie, Burleson there, all those areas. So Ellis and Johnson counties really clearing out, but there's still some lightning strikes there. So don't assume that this is all over there. You do still have some lightning strikes that can kind of follow these storms. So just kind of keep that in mind. Be prepared for that as we go on forward through the rest of the morning. This is all moving southward at roughly 40 to 45 miles per hour. So pretty good clip here, moving into, again, parts of McLennan, Limestone, and Freestone counties here. Hill and Navarro counties will be getting cleared from this in the next 14 minutes. So that's when these existing severe thunderstorm warnings will end. They'll have new warnings, I'm sure, for just southern portions at least of Navarro and Hill counties, continuing on farther to the southeast. So many folks have asked, what are we looking at for the rest of the day here? As we back this up a little bit, we've been watching this little cluster of storms up to the northwest. Not a whole lot left of them. They look to be weakening here. And as they move into what is now more stable air, they probably will continue to weaken. And then by this afternoon, I think all of this is out of here. So I'm not really expecting much for the rest of the day. So I don't think we're going to be expecting too much more from this as we go through the remainder of the day. You can see that this is kind of starting to tighten here. So you can see just the width of all of this is kind of coming together. So this storm getting more intense here as it continues to move to the southeast. New severe thunderstorm warnings, I'm sure, are on the way from the National Weather Service. The rain's been hanging out for a while here in Henderson County, but that will move out as well. Perhaps not as quickly, but this is all continuing to move southward at about 40 to 45 miles per hour. The majority of our area here, save for far southern Hill County, far southern Navarro County, kind of getting cleared from the heaviest of this activity. The strongest winds that we've been seeing just moved through the Mount Calm, Hubbard, the Dawson area. So moving towards Coolidge, towards Wortham, towards Fairfield, Teagan, Mejia eventually. So that's the strongest part of the storm here. So right here, far southern Hill County, far northern Limestone County, far southern Navarro County, far northern Freestone County. So that's where we see the strongest part of this storm. That's where you're getting the strongest winds there as well. So new severe thunderstorm warnings, I'm sure, will be coming soon for the areas farther to the southeast. But for our core area here, for Johnson and Ellis counties, you're done. And then Navarro and Hill counties, things are preparing to move out. Lindsay, you're saying some of the thunder you heard sounded like a helicopter. What is that about? I don't know. I guess I would have to hear it. Not sure what that's referring to. That's an interesting one. I mean, you can have waves of sound that come through, I suppose. So especially if you've got heavy rain, sometimes I imagine that can maybe chop up the sound waves a little bit. Not sure though, but I mean the combination of wind and rain can make some interesting sounds with the thunder, but that would be my only assumption, is you were getting strong winds at that point, and maybe that was playing with those sound waves a little bit. But for the most part, hey, we're clearing out this morning. I know that this is a lot earlier than people wanted to be awake on a Monday morning. But hey, use the extra time. Give yourself a break today. Use the extra time for a little extra time on your commute. We've heard several traffic issues this morning. If I were a traffic guy, I'd give you more information on that. Unfortunately, I am not. Chip Wagner over at Fox 4 does a wonderful job there. But look at Glen Heights. You're done. And you see the sun is reflecting off of... or well, not really probably the sun, but you see some daylight there in Glen Heights as all that has moved forward. You can still see the lightning there in parts of the area southward. So this is looking south, so you can still see plenty of lightning in those storm clouds, but brightening up there in Glen Heights as all of this has moved out of there and getting ready to get on with our day here on this Monday. But again, nice little, you can see plenty of lightning still in these clouds as these storms push on southward. So this is the storms we're watching. This is the complex we've been dealing with this morning, and just over an hour on the air here, and these are starting to move out. So we, again, about 5:30 this morning is when they were moving into our area, into Waxahachie and Cleburne, and then by just about 7 o'clock here. And right on time, we talked about how by 7 o'clock they would be in the southern parts of these warnings, and that's right on time. So Northern Hill, Northern Navarro counties calming down here. Just here, if you're on that leading edge, that's where you're going to have those stronger winds here, those stronger storms that are moving through. But again, that's going to clear our area here in the next several minutes. And then, for the most part, we should be done. I'll be watching those storms to the northwest, and then I think by the time we get to the afternoon, we'll be clearing all of this out of here. Really, the question last night, if you were watching our post, the question was whether this was going to move in later in the morning and maybe leave some energy for afternoon storms, but that does not look like that's going to be the case. This is moving at a pretty good clip, and we're just before 7 o'clock here in the morning, so we'll be cleared out of all of this by the afternoon hours. And again, you can see Waxahachie, Cleburne already clearing out, and we already saw some daylight there in Glen Heights. So these storms are moving out, will continue to move out, and will give way to, I think, just a hot, dry afternoon, a usual summer afternoon here across north central Texas. Expect plenty of humidity. All of this rain that has fallen throughout the day will start to evaporate, so it's going to be pretty humid out there, at least in the morning hours. By the afternoon here, I'm expecting highs in the mid-90s, another summer day here in north central Texas, and we'll warm up as we go through the rest of the week. And I'm not seeing rain chances, at least from what I've seen, but we'll get that forecast posted later this morning, and we'll take a look and see if there's any other chances of rain, but I'm not thinking so. But we'll have to look at the tropics as well. The Atlantic Ocean is starting to wake up with a few possible developments there. But for the most part here, the severe weather threat is wrapping up for our particular area, moving southward now of our core counties of Ellis, Hill, Johnson, and Navarro. These warnings will be ending at 7 o'clock. New warnings will be on the way farther to the southeast. But yeah, Janice, so not seeing other storms headed our way. This should be it. I'll watch those storms to the northwest to see if that's going to affect western parts of our area, maybe along and west of 35 West, but really not much else than that expected for our area. So stay tuned for more updates throughout the rest of the morning as we watch these storms move through. But for the most part, once we are done with this complex, once that's out of here, I think we're done with storms for the day. More updates to come later today. We'll put that forecast out there. And after the storms this morning, it looks like a dry and hot week looking ahead here in north central Texas.
I don't know what it means, but there's a smile upon your face, and I see something shimmering in your eyes. And they say if you want a glimpse the future, you need space. And you said you'll put down your morning guns. Would you follow me to wonders? Take my hand and walk beside me in a world of thunder. Fear is an imposter. When you look at me this way, I find it hard to not give in.